Broncos news. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Bourbon Broncos and No BS. My name's KevDan. I got one of my more awesome co-hosts here with me tonight, Mr. Adam. How you doing, good sir?
What's up, KevDan? How you doing, man?
We didn't get any snow up here, but that's okay. I'll find a way to survive.
It's it is odd for me to say this living in Colorado, but any day that you're not like just bombarded with snow is a good day. That's my thing.
See, I would rather have snow than have it be like 90, 95, 100 degrees.
Wow.
It's just the shoveling of the snow is the only thing that gets me.
I can attest. It is one of those lovely things that it comes with home ownership that people that honestly I don't think people take into account as much of.
No, home ownership definitely has its challenges, and I'll tell you how I get through those challenges. Breckenridge Distillery 5280 blend, guys. This stuff is delicious. Make sure you check it out. Blue bottle, orange bottle. They also got the Broncos Blizzard blend for the vodka, if you're a vodka person. So look, nobody's perfect. You should like the whiskey, but if you don't, that's okay. They got the vodka for you as well. So make sure you check out Breckenridge Distillery, guys. This stuff's delicious. Man, Adam, we got some Broncos stuff to talk about. But before we get into Broncos specific stuff, I wanted to raise a question to you and to our viewers. So far, Gary, how you doing? Glad you're here.
What's up, Gary?
Skinny KevDan.
Skinny KevDan.
Now, Adam, I heard this question brought up on some other podcast.
Okay,
and it got me to thinking. The the NFL has been, as we've seen, expanding into playing in different markets across the world. Right? I think we got a Brazil game or something this next year. Not us, the Broncos, but the NFL, I think they're playing in Mexico City, and I can't even keep straight like where they're all playing anymore because it's all over the place. But that then leads to the conversation of what would you feel about, or how would you feel about an internationally played Super Bowl? Yeah, right. What do you think?
I know there's the elitist soccer take, which would be, well, if it's the world's game and it's a world championship, then you have to have the world play, I suppose. But I would, I actually kind of do think that is something feasible. I don't know how soon, just because you're kind of, there really isn't any kind of I would assume that like there are smaller football leagues in other countries, but nowhere near the type of notoriety or athletes that are competing in these. So I don't know that it's necessarily a fair competition. I know that they're already kind of like teasing the idea that they want to do flag football in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So I honestly think that it may get to the point where maybe like tackle football and flag maybe become like two different sports. Because that I can see where there'd be a lot of demand to have an international flag football competition, which would be insanely fun, because then I think there is a premium on athleticism and stuff like that. As far as tackle football, I think eventually it will get there. I don't know. I think you're seeing the seeds being planted for that, obviously, with especially when you see some of these overseas games where just like they are excited, like they are legit into the environment. So I could see it happening. I just maybe in the next 5 years, maybe a little too ambitious for me.
5 to 10. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something the NFL tries to do. Location doesn't really matter in terms of, I think, trying to draw out the interest, because people will travel. You have it somewhere in Europe, people all across Europe and people from the United States will travel out there to fill the seats and pay the ridiculously high prices of Super Bowl tickets, right? Maybe someday, maybe I can afford that, but not anytime soon. Maybe by the time they have an international Super Bowl, I can afford it, but it's going to be a while. And there's a lot of things that go into that. Logistics, the travel for the teams. You're trying to keep it as even as possible. Well, how does that travel, and dealing with the jet lag and all that stuff impact the players, right? I mean, is them being out there a week long enough to adjust, right? And so there's just a lot of things that go on into that, but kind of a far off conversation that doesn't have any purpose or impact anything going on today. But James right here, I'm going to say, James, you're going to get your answer. You're going to get your wish filled. They are, I guarantee you, they are going to build a new Bronco stadium. I can't say for certain. It looks like maybe Lone Tree. It looks like maybe out by the airport, somewhere where they can buy the land, right? And then build a stadium on top of it, kind of like a lot of these other owners have done. But it's going to be with the intent of holding, college national football championship games, Super Bowls. So I would not be surprised, man, if that happens in the next, 2030 is when the current lease on the stadium ends. So, 2030 to 2035, I would expect, with the next 10 years, you're going to see a Super Bowl in Denver.
Yeah. From everything that I've read on it, what kind of think right now, if you live locally in the area, what they did with the Rockies and McGregor Square, think about that, but it is gonna be first class. It is going to be first class all the way. It is going to make Allegiant Stadium in Vegas look like a kiddie park. It's gonna be it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. I'm excited for it. Now,
we got the Walmart money. The Walmart money. That stadium, is gonna be way expensive. Top notch. So it's just a matter of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we're gonna stand by for more news about that. Honestly, guys, don't be surprised if there's not a groundbreaking for the new stadium by this time next year. That's I think where we're sitting. Because they're gonna want plenty of time to develop, plan, build the stadium. And something like a mega stadium, it's gonna take 3 years from the time they actually start construction. So 2 years of prep and everything before that. But it's going to be, and we kind of talked about this on one of the previous shows, having a retractable roof in Denver could really play to our advantage. It's not something they're going to just close up the roof every time it gets a little cold outside. If we play the Cardinals, who are used to, they have an indoor stadium, but they're used to the heat, and it's a cold day outside, leave that sucker open,
Exactly.
Unless it's like blizzarding or something. But if it's just cold weather, open that thing up, get it cold in there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And retractable roof, obviously you still have all the I think the aesthetics of I think what people like about open air stadiums. You still kind of have element games, which are fun. I've sat in them. They're fun to sit in on some weird level. They are fun to sit in.
It's like I can't feel my fingers or my toes anymore, but I wouldn't want to be anywhere else right now.
So even though it's a horrible game to reference, the Baltimore playoff game, about third quarter ish, I remember thinking to myself, I don't feel that bad. I feel okay. I was
that's not
older.
Good. That's hypothermia.
And then oh, that's why I can't feel my face.
At least you didn't start getting I'm starting to warm up, That's definitely not good.
No.
Oh man. Well, guys, let's move on into some Broncos specific news. And the big one right now is everything that happened at the Combine.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of different players that the coaching staff, the front office guys were looking at and evaluating, several interviews. But I do want to start with this video from our friend Cody Rourke over on Locked On Broncos. And he kind of has a interesting name for us to maybe watch. So let's see what he has to say.
I thought Oregon represented really well. I thought obviously Terrence Ferguson at tight end, man, not only did he run the fastest 40 time out of all the tight ends there, but you go back and you watch his tape at Oregon, you watch his tape at the Senior Bowl. This is a guy who can run routes and get away from guys. He's got good size that he uses there. Couldn't help but look at him and say, like, he could be somebody that Sean Payton really likes. There was a really good tight end class. I'm with you. Like, you've already heard my stance on this. I'm a big TreVeyon Henderson guy. I would love him in the Mile High City. He's got all those Joker traits that you could be looking for if you're Sean Payton. And plus, I want to break out the nickname if Denver gets him when he scores a touchdown. TreVeyon, my wayward son. You know, that's the song we're going to be singing on here if that's the case.
So, TreVeyon Henderson. And that could be a name. Now, just think about it. He scores a touchdown, and what do you hear? Carry on, TreVeyon, son. You just scored a touchdown, son. Or something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to sing. You guys don't want to hear that. Watch our viewership plummets because 𝐁𝐵N starts singing. But
I thought that was a mix of Fergie and Jesus just now. So
yes.
Yeah. So don't you dare talk bad about yourself like that, 𝐁𝐵N. Don't you dare.
I keep trying to join my wife's chorus, but they say I can't sing or something like that. I don't know.
The word tone deaf keeps coming. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway. So, one of the big conversations right now is running back or tight end. And we even hear some talk of a defensive lineman possibly in the first round as well. So really we're sitting here. The Broncos have their quarterback. There's no question about that for the time being.
Nope.
And now we're stuck with like, wow, we have needs, but we could go any number of directions, kind of based off how the board falls by the time it gets to number 20. And again, guys, I don't expect the sorry, Gary. I don't expect the Broncos to trade any of their draft picks. That's just not something that for the first time you have all 7 draft picks, in how many years has it been since we've had that? It doesn't seem like there's any, do we really trade up for a running back when there's other running backs, that could fit the bill based off of, what the Broncos are looking for in a player. But what about some of these other names and tight ends, and what are you seeing, Adam?
I think the Broncos are actually in a really enviable spot. Any team wants to they want to draft the best guy available, regardless of position. Those are the guys that you can really build around. And Denver's actually in a great spot where they can take the best guy there. I mean, if it's a running back, typically you don't like to burn that first round pick on a running back, but there may be a couple guys there like an Ashton Jeanty or a names are escaping me at this point, but Jeanty is the premier guy, and there is a slight chance that he could be there. The tight end is obviously a huge need that we have. The kid from Penn State, I don't think he's gonna be there when we pick, but that doesn't preclude them from taking a guy like Jake Ferguson, maybe a little later on in the second or third round. Maybe a guy like Colston Loveland from Michigan, who may be the best pure tight end out of everybody in the draft. Could you imagine pairing a stud bookend defensive tackle with Zach Allen on the other side? And, and your top backup coming in is John Franklin Myers. Like those are good problems to have. So I fully expect, like you said, that I don't see Denver being too getting wheeling dealing, maybe adding some picks at the end of drafts, because I do know that Payton does like having that barbell approach where you have pick more picks at the end, more picks at the beginning.
Right.
But I think I think they're really in a great spot right now that they can really go in a number of directions and let the board fall to them. Like they don't have to move up to really, they don't have the mortgage features to really go in any direction. They can go any number of ways and still come out with a good player, I think.
Oh, exactly. And I think some people are maybe taking too much importance in this draft, right? We're not in a Super Bowl window. I'm not saying that we can just totally whiff and we'll be fine, right? We've got to find some players that we can help grow organically within the team. But it's not like, if we just don't absolutely knock the ball out of the park on this draft, that we're absolutely screwed for the next 10 years or something like that. So, you got to take some chances with some of these guys, and you got to be smart with your picks. You got to be, realistic about your situations. The situation is that we're only in the second year, the beginning of the second year of our rebuild. We have a lot of needs that we need to have filled. And that's not going to be completely fixed this year, right? We're still going to have certain positions next year as well that are going to need to be addressed. And those will become more apparent as this next season goes on. But what we're looking at right now, the two big ones, tight end and running back. Now, it doesn't mean you just take the best available of those two players at 20. Again, maybe you look at that and you go, well, there's some defensive players on the board, and, whether it's a cornerback, whether it's a defensive lineman, maybe an inside linebacker, the Broncos could go any number of ways, like you're saying, Adam. And it's kind of nice that we're not tipping our hand off at the same time. Teams don't really know what to expect from the Broncos in this draft, I think, versus last year's obvious what we were going to do. So.
What I think was actually kind of important to note with that, everybody thought we were drafting J.J. McCarthy at this time last year. It was like almost on the nose that we were enamored with J.J. McCarthy, and then that wasn't 100% the case. So,
yep. Now, to change the subject just a little bit, what's going to happen to J.J. McCarthy? They're extending. They just signed, or they're going to sign Sam Darnold to a massive extension, from what I'm hearing. I don't think it is official yet. I did see the Saquon Barkley's deal today.
I know Barkley got extended today.
Yep. But everything we're hearing out of the Vikings is they're going to hold on to Darnold, and rightfully so. The performance he had this last year when he stepped in, why wouldn't you want to go with that guy, right? Versus test it out with the rookie who got injured his first year. But do you leave him as a backup? Do you try to trade him? Like, where do you go with that, man?
I would not trade anything to be in that situation. No. Because you signed Sam Darnold to literally just keep the seat warm for McCarthy at whatever point. So you're not expecting him to play well. And the fact that he does play well is now going to cost you money. Listen, I am kind of on Sam Darnold just as it is, but because like 8 teams have their franchise quarterback and the other teams just don't, and you like that is it. That is the haves and the have-nots. And the haves, when you have it, you can pretty much bank on you're going to make the playoffs. And if you make the playoffs, you have a shot. If you don't have them, the way to navigate that is much trickier. So that, I mean, if you're Minnesota, it's like, what do you like? It really does. It feels like rocking another rock.
Rocking another rock.
If it were me, because I'm not I mean, he's fine. Sam Darnold, if you're out there listening, I'm sure you are.
He is.
I bet you're a nice guy, man. Whatever.
But yes. Gary says Raiders don't have it. They definitely, I would say, don't have a franchise QB.
But can we talk about their survey scores? Their survey scores were amazing. Mm-hmm. Their ownership got an A, which I'm like, how? Like
that guy?
I don't. Like everything in their survey, they were one of the top rated teams in the NFL by an unofficial Survey Monkey blast survey that they sent out. So.
Jeez. What's up, Paula? How you doing? Good to see you here. I guess just if you're used to sucking as a team, it's easier to just be happy with where you are because there's no drive to do better or something. I don't know. I mean, if you look at the Broncos NFLPA survey that they sent out, they gave Sean Payton a B, which was like 27th in the league, which makes me say, if you're telling me that all of these teams are grading their coaches as A's and A pluses and A minuses, no, something seems a little off there, you know,
right?
To get a B and be one of the bottom 5 teams in the league when it comes to that grade, that seems weird, right? But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that grade.
If it means that we make the playoffs with our B coach, and it means that Vegas gets to have, you know, Fabergé eggs for catering or something, then like, okay.
Right. Well, I mean, I didn't see these guys' scores, but Christopher, I think you're lost here, buddy. Go Chargers. The only thing the Chargers do is they go home at some point in the playoffs or before the playoffs.
I'm sorry. Like, the Chargers are at the kiddie table of the division because you don't get to sit with the big kids until you get one of these.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They did go to one. I remember it. I may not have
one.
I may not have a face that says so, but I remember that game. So
it was a fluke. Let's admit it. And they chargered like they tend to do. So it's not when, or it's not if are they going to charge her. It's when are they going to charge her.
Are they going to charge her?
When. So, but I know I made a video a couple days ago saying that, before the Raiders get another Super Bowl win, before the Chargers get a win, the Broncos will be hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. And I fully believe that. The dynamic we have here with the ownership, the GM, the head coach, the quarterback, we have all the pieces in place in terms of the leadership of the team being all on the same page, all moving in the same direction. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be simple. It's not going to be fast, but you're telling me that in the next 4 or 5 years, this team isn't, being talked about, a potential Super Bowl team. Come on. Like, that's for real. Then you tell me that the Raiders are going to be taken seriously. Nope.
I mean, they got Carroll in the building now. I don't know. Maybe he's an adult. I don't know. I don't know. They need to figure out their quarterback at this point. So, I mean, at the very least, they need to figure that out before. And if you draft Shador, just be prepared to see him. Prepared to see him on the turf a lot.
I give Pete Carroll 2 years there.
Ooh,
2 years.
That's good. That's fair. I think, I would say that's about right. That's about right.
They seem to like to pull the trigger when it comes to firing coaches pretty quickly, and I can't see Pete Carroll just doing anything. Anyway, that's a conversation for a Raiders show. That's something we are not. Clayton is asking. He knows our needs, but tell him first. Picks in at 20. Who are we getting? So sitting here right now, Adam, if you had to just, let's say that Genty's on the board. Let's say that these tight ends are on the board. We basically have our pick at whoever we want. What are you going for?
If there's a guy that I'm in love with in this year's draft, it's Warren out of Penn State. I think if you're looking for that joker, essentially, as Sean Payton likes to call it, I mean, that's the guy. You can spread him out wide. He has the speed and the size that he is probably, like, you got 2 go up and get it guys on either side. So that's a good problem to have. You can put him in line as well to have him, and then he just is an athletic freak. You can't cover him with a safety or a linebacker, or you put him in line and you have him be an inline blocker from there. That would probably be. That's where I think if you get that player, the offense goes from good to very, very good in one off season, with the potential of being very, very elite, provided what they do at running back. But I mean, you kind of see where they're building, and you see where they're strong at, especially on the offensive line. And you see that almost all their skill positions are with young guys growing with their quarterback. And as soon as they get another couple of pieces figured out, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun once they get it figured out. And I think the potential at 20, long story long, is if it were me and he's there, it's Warren from Penn State. That would be me.
I would not be upset by that. If 𝐁𝐫𝐶's on the board at 20 and we go with Warren or someone else, a lot of people are going to be upset.
Yeah,
I would say I get where they're coming from, but you got to look at the bigger picture. You know, there's clearly something there that these guys who won, the same people that drafted Bo Nix when everyone else called them idiots for it, right? They know how to analyze talent and predict pretty well if these guys are going to fit into Sean Payton's system. If they just feel that this is better for the team overall, I'm going to trust them, you know, until they give me a reason not to. But last couple draft classes have been spot on. This last one, especially with Bo Nix, spot on. Like I can't sit here and nitpick their drafting decisions anymore like we used to when John Elway was in charge, right? Where you kind of like knew, okay, that player's going to be gone in 2 to 3 years because that's how it works here. But not anymore. So let's see. Before we get to some, go for it, Adam.
It's also important to keep in mind of just like certain positions. There's a shallow pool of players to choose from. Tight end is more shallow than say running back at any point. So I mean, 𝐁𝐫𝒄𝒐𝒏𝒓𝒊𝒅𝒈𝒆 is probably in line to get a big bump in production, and that's a 5th round pick. Like how they mentioned that 𝐁𝐫𝐶𝐨𝒐𝒻 and Travion Henderson, those guys aren't going to be first round guys. You know, those are going to be first day guys or even maybe second day guys, but they're going to be impact guys later on in the draft. So just because they don't take a guy with their first pick doesn't mean they're not going to take a guy at all.
Exactly. Roy, glad to see you here, man. Thanks for stopping in. Before we do some closing thoughts, guys, remember we do our short Tuesday night shows every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. As we get closer to free agency here in just a few short weeks, we're going to be ramping up into some more full-length, hour-long shows, both before the free agency period and kind of after everything settles down, where we can really break down the news. And then sometime after that, we'll be getting the NFL schedule for the year in early April. And we'll be talking about that. We also got the free agency stuff. I'm seeing some free agency questions. We're going to be doing a whole breakdown on the draft. Once that gets closer and end of April. And really what the Broncos do in free agency is definitely going to impact how they draft. So, you know, it's kind of tough not to get too far ahead of ourselves right now, because there are some things that can change. Like if we sign a free agent tight end, well, you can bet we're not going to use the first rounder on a tight end. We're not the Atlanta Falcons that signs a big name free agent and then drafts the same position
and then
cuts him. Anyway, so guys, make sure you join us every Tuesday night. We'll be putting out announcements, and make sure you subscribe and everything to all of our channels so you can see the videos. I'll be kind of talking about when you can expect those more in-depth shows regarding free agency and the draft and everything as we get closer. So we're going to keep plugging along here through the off season, and it'll be July and training camp here before you know it, guys. And we're going to be talking about some real serious Broncos football, expecting another really fantastic season this year as well. Remember, guys, check out Breckenridge Distillery 5280 Broncos blend. This stuff is delicious. Seriously. I keep plowing through all the bottles by the time we get to the show. So, blue bottle, orange bottle, they got their vodka as well, the Broncos Blizzard vodka. So make sure you check these guys out. Liquor store near you in Colorado. Adam, man, let's start closing her out with some closing thoughts. Over to you, man.
I would say to kind of go along with what you talked about earlier. Last year's draft class, while like stellar, because we pretty much got a contributor with every single one of our picks. On good teams, you're typically looking at getting like a great draft is 2 starters and maybe like a really good contributor. So, and as the talent level on the team keeps rising, we may not see those rookies have immediate impacts like we did this year, but those are good problems to have. Those are good problems to have. That doesn't mean that I don't think that they can't find an impact guy in that first round. And frankly, your first rounders really should be impact guys.
Sure. Oh yeah.
So, but I would say to kind of just set the expectation level, if they get 2 starters out of this draft, that's an amazing draft.
Yeah.
And I'm fully confident that they'll do that too.
Yeah. Again, I think the talent is there when it comes to the people analyzing these players. The scouts and everyone like that. They're doing a fantastic job. And it's okay to have those problems of something the Broncos haven't dealt with in a long time when it comes to we're a good team. Now we have a different set of problems. Coaches and assistant coaches being headhunted every season and whatnot. But I think I heard of Sean Payton say once, or somebody was talking about Sean Payton in a quote. He said that, I think the owner or something asked him like, hey, we have a real problem. Like we have a whole bunch of these assistant coaches leaving this year or something like that. And his response was, the only time we don't have a problem is if nobody is looking at our head coaches or our assistant coaches.
Yeah.
And it says a lot. So you really got to look at, okay, what does this mean? So if you have, a really strong team and you're drafting, but you're not seeing a lot of those rookies out there, well, it's because you have some really solid talent, and you're trying to find those impact players. But it's something that, these guys are on a young team. They know they're on a team that's rebuilding, and they have the opportunity to go out there and make a name for themselves right out the get-go. They don't have to be sitting on a bench for 5 years or something like that before they get their chance. So the right motivation, the right leadership, which I think this team all has, man, you can go out there and who knows what they're capable of. So, anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. Another edition of Bourbon Broncos No BS. We'll be back next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, talking about different players, different position groups, different news around the NFL, as we just stay connected with each other during the off season. But Adam, once again, man, thank you very much for joining me. It's a pleasure as always, man. And to everyone else out there, thank you for tuning in. And dude, I got nothing left to say other than end this as we always do on a very strong Go Broncos.
Let's go Broncos.
Take care, everyone.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know I'm a pro.